Hey, Halfmilesniper here. We're back in the garage today. I got a mess on the table because we're going to continue with our build. And hopefully we'll be able to get through this next stage. And that'll get us to the point where we'll need to put a chassis on it. So, y'all sit back, kick your feet up, enjoy the ride. We'll explain a little bit of the mess here. Let me move the box out of my way. We learned last time out that barrel jaws for the vise did not clamp down hard enough on this barrel to torque the receiver. So instead of chancing damaging the barrel or the receiver, I ordered up a barrel vise rather than vise jaws. So what we'll do right off the bat, using our torque wrench, we'll torque the receiver to the barrel. And then I have a EC tuner brake that we will possibly go ahead and mount today just to get it on the barrel and out of the way. And we'll set up the hanger with the trigger and get that installed. And the last thing we'll do is we will find our lands, determine our initial seating depth for our first loads, and I think we'll call it a day at that point. So give me a minute or two to get things set back up and we'll get the torque. Okay, well, with the torque wrench, I got it cranked up to 75 foot-pounds. And I'll be just off screen here, but hopefully y'all can hear the click. Here we go. Oh yeah. Torque to 75 foot-pounds. And for those of you who don't know, back your tension off your torque wrench when you're done torquing. Okay. Let me double check the instructions on the tuner brake, and I'll flip the barrel around and we'll mount that tuner brake. So I'd already opened up my tuner brake for the for an Instagram post, but it comes packaged like a little prescription. And inside, just like the old days, your prescription's covered with some cotton ball. And we got a big 4-port brake that we will time EC tuner up at 12 o'clock. And we will be set. So, once again, well, maybe that might be in view, that might be just out of view. Let me make sure that fits. And then I gotta just figure out the self-timing portion. Ooh, that puppy comes real close to being right there. I am just a hair off. Okay, I need to find a wrench. So kind of the way Eric Cortina shows, I'm going to be using a adjustable wrench and a rag. We're going to protect our brake with the rag. And I think that's about straight. And maybe just a hair more. Let me get something. Never mind, I used a 250-pound, foot-pound torque wrench, a 15-inch crescent wrench, and now some watchmaker's levels. Okay, it can go a little bit more. Okay. There we go. They agree. Watchmaker's tools for the win. Okay, well, I think that might hopefully beat the algorithm and allowed me to show you me making these changes, making these attaching the receiver to the barrel, attaching the tuner brake to the barrel, allowed me to show it to you without actually showing it to you. Now, let me, just so you didn't know, I gotta figure out what I do with it. The barrel wrench, action wrench, is 7/8. So we got a big old 7/8 socket there. The barrel vise, which I cheated, and I chucked my barrel vise up in my vise, which allowed me to get this torqued without having to attach the barrel vise to my workbench. It gives me a little portability. Now the question is, will that come all the way through? Yes, it will. And just to show you here, no damage to the barrel. Hopefully that's in view, because I used a piece of the cardboard, the thin cardboard that came with the action, as a buffer between the barrel and the vise. Alrighty. So, give me a minute to get some things cleared up here. We'll come back. We're going to measure the chamber before we go any further, and then we'll see about hanging that trigger. Okay, well, I was sitting here getting ready to get started on the next section, and I realized I forgot to grab the bullet comparator so that we can measure our lands. But before we're going further, real quick, we'll take a quick look in here. And Eric sent me a new Cortina Precision sticker, which will replace the one on the table eventually. And a sucker. Unfortunately, and I may sound a little off to y'all today, I had to have some actual dental work done. I literally have one tooth with a filling in it my whole life. Until I cracked a tooth. Didn't know I cracked a tooth. And ended up going to the dentist and finding out that yes, it's a cracked tooth, and I had a root canal on Thursday and a temporary crown installed this morning. So I feel good. My mouth just feels a little bit off. It's hard to describe. But anyways, let me flip this around, and we are going to check our seating depth with our fancy schmancy handy dandy depth gauge here. We're going to chamber this modified cartridge, get it all the way in, and then we're going to push the bullet in until it stops, and then, if we're lucky, came out with it. Smash, bang, crash. Okay, so that's what our That's what our bullet looks like. Now I need to measure. Okay. I got 2.278 inches OAL. Very good. Let me write that down. 2.278. And we're going to come 15 thousandths off. 15 thousandths off of that makes 2.263 our target dimension. Very nice. 2.263 is our target dimension. So what we'll do is I will take a minute and go over to the loading press. Of course, don't want to show making ammo because that'll get us flagged or demonetized or yelled at by the powers that be. And I'm going to make a dummy round at 2.263. And we're going to see how the dummy round chambers. So give me a minute to go make a dummy round and I'll bring y'all right back. Real quick, there's my new dummy round. Let me make sure that's in view. Yes, my new dummy round. And we're going to go ahead and measure. I've got closest I could get, first try here, 2.263. 2.263. Hopefully you can see that. And if we look comparing side to side, can't really see much difference. But we've got no primer, no powder, just an empty case with a bullet. Okay. So we're going to cheat and come in from the bottom. Here we go. Nice. A little hard to run without a stock on it. And you know what I just realized? We need to redouble check that Headspace. I said we were going to, just in case things got tight or moved when we tightened up. There's our Headspace gauges, and since we're going to need it, there's our hanger. Let me put my box away. Yeah, I am pretty sure nothing changed. Let's see, that is our no-go gauge. We'll put that little rubber ball back in so we protect our gauges. This is our go gauge. So go gauge. Go gauge closes nicely. No go gauge. Cannot close the no go gauge. Good. And then one more time with our dummy round. Very smooth, very nice. All right. That feels like a win. Okay. Headspace is checked. Still checks good. We know what where our lands are. We backed off 15 thousandths. We now have our dummy round for setting our die up for ammo when we start cranking out ammo. We got our tuner brake mounted. Receiver is torqued to the barrel. The only thing we have left now is hanging the trigger. So let me put my bullet making stuff away. Let me put my gauges away so we're not dealing with other stuff on the table, and we're going to get that trigger hung. And I think we will maybe try to set it to about 2 pounds. So, before we even get to hanging the trigger here, I completely skipped an important part that y'all probably need to know. This was a bag of a couple of hundred, once fired, alpha brass in 6.5 Creedmoor. This is 100 pieces of alpha brass in 6.5 Creedmoor that's been reformed to 6 Creedmoor. So, this piece of brass here is still dirty from being fired. This brass has been cleaned and annealed. I don't know if the difference in neck size is showing up, but handy dandy case gauge for 6 Creedmoor. We're going to take this piece of 6.5 Creedmoor brass and drop it in, and it goes that far and stops. This piece of annealed and resized drops in beautifully. And if we look here, we can see the line where my annealing stopped. Now, others have asked me about annealing before. I anneal the poor boy method. I use a propane torch, a power drill, and Tempelak 750. Little swipe of Tempelak 750 inside the neck, and as you're spinning it and holding the flame here, as soon as the blue-green of the Tempelak 50 goes clear, you know you've reached 750 degrees and your brass is perfectly annealed. It's a bit of a time-consuming process, but it works. So, we got our case gauge, we've got our reformed brass. I am ready to make ammo. I've got, oh, I forgot to tell you, so the dummy round we made, I made using a Berger 109 grain bullet. I plan to shoot Berger 109s out of this gun. So hopefully I can stay in a steady supply of that. Okay, let me put this stuff away and then we'll get to hanging that trigger. Okay, so let me get this open back up. Now, for those who were extra observant, you may have noticed a set of trigger weights over here on the side of the table. Well, that's because, as I said, we're going to adjust the trigger a little bit, and I'm going to try to get it to about a 2-pound trigger. And if you were paying attention last time, I said I was going to remove this. This was the bolt release button for a standard 700. It was just this screw and one little old C-clip. But we did not need that horse hockey on this gun because the bolt release on this gun is here on the receiver. What? Did I just see what I thought I saw? I did not know that. So Trigger Tech apparently comes from Canada land. Kind of makes me happy. Reason being, y'all have your gun grabbers too up there in Canada land. And y'all have companies that are still cranking out gun parts. I'd appreciate that. Okay, let's see what we have here in our little hanger. We have our stirrup, which again is going to hook in right here. I just got to get it in there far enough. And then wedge down and get screwed there, so to speak. We've got 2 small steel pins. And let's see, that is an Allen wrench or a Torx wrench? I can't quite tell. Feels like an Allen, but let's see what we have Torx-wise. It is a Torx. It is a T10 Torx, so we will keep that in mind. There's our T10. So if that's going to go like that, this is going to go like that. Yes. So I can probably show you this part. And that's going to be these little pins. I don't know if they're... So let's see. Those pins are close fit there. Very close fit there. Do those have to get beaten in? Do I have to do a little tappy tap, tap, tap? I think I'm going to need to go get a hammer. Okay, so not knowing which hammer I'm going to need, I brought a 4-ounce ball peen, and then I've got a plastic mallet. Wow. There we go. That took a little bit more of a whack than I thought it was going to. There we go. Hopefully I mounted that correctly. Didn't need the ball peen. Plastic mallet did the trick. You don't have to beat the tar out of stuff to get it to go. So, now this is probably the part I can't show you. Okay. So I didn't get the rear pin 100% in. It was just a hair proud. So I had to tap it in a little further. Now, since this is a piece that I don't intend to be removing, we're going to put just a tiny drop of blue Loctite on that. Okay. Now that we got that started, I need the handle. Handle would be good. Okay. Nice. Okay, moment of truth. Okay. Bolt is in. Safety is on. No trigger. Even though we just put it together, we're verifying there's nothing in the chamber. Safety off. Trigger pulls. Okay. Let me set that down. We're going to take a break. I'm going to clear off the table, and we're going to start checking that trigger weight. I have my close-up cam off the table. I have everything off the table except for my notepad, my phone, and my trigger weights. Now, these are the same trigger weights I use for pistol competitions and setting up competition guns or pistols. This is a 4.5 pound set. I brought 3.5 pounds because this trigger is supposed to be adjustable between 1 and 3.5 pounds. So we're going to start at 3.5 and see if that's where it's at. So we are cocked and ready to go. Get that on the trigger, get that barrel straight, and we lift. Well, I guess I had the safety on. Yep, I did. No wonder it lifted 3.5 pounds. Okay, here we go. It does not lift 3.5. Let's go to 3. It made 3 move the stack just a little bit. We're at 2.5 pounds now. It is just a hair over 2.5. Okay, so let's look at that adjustment. Going clockwise makes it heavier. Counterclockwise should make it lighter. That went a click. I don't know if it's supposed to go in clicks, but the adjustment clicked at one time. We still have 2.5 pounds on the weights. We're going to lighten that up one more. Yep, that goes in clicks. I'll go one more. Two and a half pounds. It's just a hair under 2.5 pounds. The stack just moved. So we are 3 clicks. Four. Okay, that's 5 clicks off the factory setting. We're going to make it 6 clicks. I'm guessing it's probably going to be maybe 2 1/4, maybe 2 1/8. You know, we're going to go one more. Yeah, we are just a hair over 2 pounds there. Okay, we're going to go one more click, call it an even 8. We'll try that. Let's see what we end up with. £2. 2 pounds on the money. Whew. Alrighty. Okay, so we are happy. Trigger set to 2 pounds on the money. That was 8 clicks off the factory setting. I think the only thing I didn't tell y'all was the barrel length. So this particular barrel in 6 Creedmoor is 26 inches. So it's a 26-inch Solus barrel in 6 Creedmoor that I just mounted to the Solus action. we mounted an EC tuner. I put a Trigger Tech trigger in, and we just adjusted that trigger to 2 pounds. Unfortunately, with the dental work I just had to have from cracking a tooth, my build is going to have to slow down a little bit, but that's okay. I do have a chassis inbound. I was torn between going with the Aero chassis, and I decided to go with the MDT Oryx. Aero chassis looked pretty cool, and it would have been a 100% Aero gun at that point, but couldn't justify springing for the Aero chassis. So I went with the MDT Oryx, and I'm doing that one in FD, and I have some 10-round magazines coming. So once that comes in, the only thing I'll be lacking will be a scope, a piece of Arca rail, and a bipod. So we are close to having a new rifle built. Then I just have to decide whether I need to blur out the trigger work. I need to put that C-clip back on that pin. That pin almost walked out. Good thing I noticed that. Okay, so we are done on what we can do for the... Alrighty, well, the sharp-eyed viewers are going to notice that, hey, things look different there. Table looks rearranged. Well, yeah, it does, because yes, it is. Battery died just as I was explaining that I just noticed that the trigger pin needed to have that C-clip put back on because that pin was walking out from the installation. That's the C-clip that held the Remington bolt release. So while the camera was cooling down and I was getting a fresh battery, I went ahead and installed that C-clip. Trigger still works. Very nice. Okay, so I think I just told you that I'd ordered the MDT Oryx chassis for this in FD, 2 magazines, and the only thing I'm lacking is a scope, bipod, piece of Arca rail, and I think that's it. So we are close to having a rifle. I can't wait to take it out and shoot it. Between my knee injury and the dental work, shooting is going to be a while, I think, at least on the range y'all are accustomed to me shooting. Since I got hurt at work, I can't use that range when I'm not working. I will probably end up having to go to a public range. We'll see. We'll see which comes first, getting the rifle finished or getting off light duty. But this is the only way I thought of that I could maybe show y'all building a gun. We'll see what happens. First section should be out by now, and if that one gets past the YouTube powers that be, this one will follow. So until next time, it's Halfmilesniper reminding y'all, stay strapped or get cracked. Carry everywhere you can. Get a CCW if you need one. If you're in a constitutional carry state, get a CCW anyways. You never know, you might travel. Not everyone recognizes constitutional carry. I really appreciate y'all hanging with me, and I am really looking forward to this next chapter in my rifle game. And I really screwed the pooch when I did the Eric Cortina challenge. I could have said something about being like a reverse Quigley, because if you remember in that movie, he always shot with a rifle, but when time came, he did it with pistols. And Hans Gruber said, "I didn't think you could shoot a pistol." Kind of the reverse image if you think about it. So, y'all stay safe, keep shooting. We'll catch you next time.
Send it.
Hit.